You don't hate your life. That's why you're stuck. If it was unbearable, if it was painful enough, if it was clearly broken, you would have changed it by now. But it's not. It's just tolerable. And that's the most dangerous place a person can live. Because nothing forces you to move. Nothing forces you to wake up. Nothing forces you to confront what's really happening. So you don't. You wake up, you go through your routine, you do what's expected, you distract yourself just enough, and you repeat. Not because you love it, but because you don't hate it enough. That's the trap. You're not in pain, you're in comfort. And comfort doesn't push, it doesn't demand, it doesn't expose, it just keeps you exactly where you are. Think about it. If your life completely fell apart tomorrow, you'd react. If everything collapsed, you'd be forced to rebuild. But this slow, quiet, almost invisible stagnation, there's no urgency, no alarm, no moment where everything screams, this has to change now. So it doesn't. Days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, months turn into something you stop counting, and somewhere in between, you lose something. Not obviously, not dramatically, subtly. You lose your edge, that internal tension that used to push you, that used to make you uncomfortable in a good way, that used to remind you you're not where you're supposed to be. It fades, and in its place comes something quieter, acceptance. Not the healthy kind, the kind that whispers, it's fine, this is normal, everyone lives like this. And maybe they do, but that doesn't make it right. It just makes it common, and common is dangerous, because common feels safe. If everyone is doing it, it can't be that bad. If everyone is stuck, then being stuck must be normal. So you stop questioning it. You stop resisting it. You stop even noticing it. And that's when it locks in. Because once something becomes normal, it stops feeling like a problem. It becomes your baseline, your standard, your life. And from that point on, you don't try to escape it. You try to decorate it. You add small distractions, small pleasures, small upgrades, just enough to make it feel better, without actually changing anything. A new habit you don't keep, a new goal you don't pursue, a new version of yourself you imagine, but never become. And every time you do this, you reinforce the illusion, I'm doing something. But you're not. You're maintaining a life that doesn't challenge you, maintaining a version of yourself that doesn't grow, maintaining a system that slowly drains you without ever making it obvious. That's why this is hard to see, because there's no clear failure. You're not hitting rock bottom. You're not losing everything. You're not collapsing. You're just existing. And existence feels safe. But it comes with a cost. Cost you don't notice immediately because it's not loud. It doesn't hit you all at once. It builds quietly in the background. Every time you ignore that internal voice, it gets weaker. Every time you choose comfort over growth, it gets quieter. Every time you delay something that matters, it fades until one day you don't hear it anymore. And that's when things change. Not externally, internally. Because that voice was the only thing reminding you you were capable of more. And now it's gone. So you settle fully. Not because you decided to, but because nothing inside you is resisting anymore. That's the real danger. Not failure. Silence. A life where nothing feels urgent. Nothing feels important. Nothing feels worth pushing for. Just routine. And routine becomes identity. You start to define yourself by what you do every day. And if what you do every day is nothing meaningful, that becomes who you are. Not in theory, in reality. Because identity isn't built on intention. It's built on repetition. And right now, your repetition is building something you don't want to admit. A version of you that's comfortable being average, not because you chose it, but because you never fought against it hard enough. And now it feels too late, not logically, emotionally, because the longer you stay in this state, the harder it becomes to imagine anything else. You forget what urgency feels like. You forget what hunger feels like. You forget what it's like to actually want something badly enough to move. And without that, nothing changes. You can think about it. You can talk about it. You can even plan for it, but you won't act because action requires friction, and you've removed friction from your life. That was the goal, to feel comfortable, to feel in control, to feel safe, and you achieved it. But now, you're stuck with the side effect, stillness, a life that doesn't move. And the longer you stay here, the more normal it feels. Until one day, you stop calling it temporary and start calling it who I am. That shift is where most people lose themselves. Not in chaos, in comfort. Because chaos demands change. Comfort allows delay. And delay becomes permanent. So you wait for the right time, for the right feeling, for the right version of yourself to show up. But that version never comes because it doesn't exist outside of action. And you're not acting, you're waiting. And waiting feels productive. It feels like preparation, but it's not. It's avoidance, a cleaner, more acceptable form of doing nothing. And the longer you stay in it, the more convincing it becomes, until you truly believe, I'll change soon. But soon never arrives, because soon is just a softer way of saying, not now. And not now is the pattern that built your current life. So it keeps building it again and again and again, until eventually you stop noticing the repetition. You stop feeling the discomfort. You stop questioning the loop. And at that point, you're not stuck anymore. You're settled. And that's when it ends. Not with failure, but with acceptance. A quiet decision to stay exactly where you are.